foremost, welcome to Swindon Town. How does it feel to be the club's new head coach?
Amazing, delighted first and foremost to be back coaching again. Real honour and a privilege to be head coach at such a fantastic club. I feel very lucky to get the opportunity. I mean, at the end of the day, there's only 92 clubs in the four pyramids of English football, so there's very few jobs about, and there's a lot more than 92 coaches looking for work. So, but I think it's a very exciting opportunity. Big club, sleeping joint, and very excited because I think there's huge potential here.
How did this opportunity arise, and what have the last few days been like for you?
It came out of the blue. I didn't know there was an interest from Swindon. When I found out, I was really excited. I jumped at that. I didn't hesitate. I think it's really important to meet people out of respect first and foremost. But this one was actually something I was really excited about. I think it's a big club. Not where it should be at the moment in terms of league position or potential league, but it is what it is. You can't get away from that. But just really excited. And once I met Jamie in particular, I just had a brilliant connection with him, which was really important to me. If I can't connect with somebody, I'm out. And I would imagine likewise for the gentleman on the other end of the phone. So there was a mutual connection there. We seemed very aligned in everything we spoke about. There's a lot of things I was saying. Jamie, the smile on his face, there's a lot of things he was saying that I thought I can really connect with that. So when he phoned me back post my first meeting, it was quite intriguing because at that point I had no real idea. We had a very positive first meeting that just went on for an hour because it was just warm, it was bright, it was bubbly, it was just football. So when I spoke to him the second time round, it was more detail about what's your process, what does it look, is it 3-stage, 4-stage, and to find out we not jumped too quickly, but we'd got quite close to where we want to get to before time. That was a really big positive for me because when I walked away from my meeting with Jamie, I just felt it was very positive, and sometimes it doesn't always work like that because people are looking for different things. So nothing but positivity and excitement, and from my point of view, I was really invested in it early, which surprised me a little bit as well.
You mentioned about people there, of course, and we'll obviously get on to Jamie Russell later on in this interview, but have you spoken to many people about this role, and if so, what are some of the messages and points they've made to you?
Yeah, well, my phone's absolutely bouncing off the wall, which is really warm and reassuring. The reason I pause is I've actually spoken to a couple of ex-managers here. Normally with an ex-manager there's a bit of negativity or potentially a bit of bitterness about the way things end. What really threw me was the positivity from the managers, two managers about the club, the potential of it. Big conversation was around the fans and what they bring, what they represent and their passion. That was a huge plus for me. That was a huge factor in me coming here, was the fan base and the passion and support. I've witnessed it as a player, but it's always different when you work in an environment, you know. But really positive. I don't want to touch on the past, but I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody in the present because people have been through a tough time. What's been fascinating, I found it difficult to find anybody with something negative to say about the people at the club and the potential that it's got to go to. And that really struck a chord with me.
Let's talk about your coaching career in a little more detail. Obviously, you most recently finished a respectable 11th place with Lincoln in the league above. What qualities will you take from your time at Lincoln going into this role at Swindon?
Brilliant experience, brilliant city, brilliant fans, fantastic club, some really warm people there. Brilliant learnings as a coach of what I thought League One would look like and the reality of what it actually is. So going in with an idea of, it was a bit like apples and oranges in the end, instead of apples and apples or oranges and oranges. I'm Irish, I hope that makes sense to you. So the reality against the vision was very different, but I thought my biggest plus or pride is reacting to that and actually really going away from everything I'd coached and actually been involved in as a player and doing something completely different, completely alien, and actually being really successful at it. I'm really, really proud of that. And I think people have an obsession with possession, but football's an in and out possession game. And the big things we tried to focus on was maximising the player's strengths and hiding deficiencies, which you do at any level. It just so happens in the Premier League they have less and less deficiencies, and it's such a high level. But good reflections, lots of learnings, lots of things I could have done better. Trust me, I'm not perfect. But nothing but good memories in my past and my coaching background.
You touched on obviously playing at the highest level. You of course have experienced that as a player. So what will you take from your playing days going into obviously coaching and everything like that as well?
It's a really good question. I'm not sure I've got the answer to that. I just try and focus on. I think the most important thing to me is being a good person and being around good people and investing in good people. And, you know, from a playing perspective, having had some really good experiences and enjoyed so many highs and some huge lows, by the way. My big passion about being a coach is wanting to do my best to enable players to experience some of the things that you can get to an experience as a footballer. It's such a privileged life, and on the whole most people really respect that and warm to it. I think I'm 48 now, I think, you know, I've got 3 young kids, and my wife gets frustrated a lot with her kids about certain things they like and stuff like that, and I'm constantly saying we lived in completely different generations, and I think how you speak to people and interact and connect, I think how you speak to people is different. I think the skill set of a coach and a leader is to get your point across. You can't speak to everybody in the same language because we've got 25, 30 different personalities. I think having the ability to get that across is really big, but ultimately it's about good people.
You obviously touched on it a lot there, but if we talk about your time at Macclesfield at this level and also the high level academy coaching roles as well, what will those 2 experiences bring to your weaponry here?
Yeah, so I'm laughing that they couldn't be so far apart, for they were complete polar opposites. Macclesfield's I'm so pleased they still have a football club that they've done brilliant with, and Robbie there is the director of football. A brilliant community and environment. But when I was there, and the reason I took the job was, it was just utter carnage. We had, I think, a 17-point deduction, at least 7, 8, 9 points before I got there. No one was getting paid. We train at 4 different training grounds a week. Most of the time, I was paying for them. Played Plymouth away last game of the season. My captain burst into tears in my arms on the pitch. It was almost an abusive situation for players to be in. In fact, it was an abusive situation to be in. A very humbling experience. And just the challenges every day were phenomenal. But that's why I went there. I loved it. And I remember speaking to a manager I'm very close with, who's managed over 10,000 games. And he was like, Sparky, what you've done in 6 months, I didn't have that in 10 years. And that's exactly why I took the job. The flip side of that is I went and worked with City and Wolves, who were just brilliant experiences on player development, periodisation, methodology, philosophies, ILPs, managing. I don't like managing up because it kind of insinuates you have to manipulate people, but working up and down, working in multidisciplinary teams. And then the flip side of that was working in environments that were so unreal, it's untrue. I mean, the facilities are they're just A-star and a 10-star, and in my opinion, they're designed to get you a Phil Foden and a Cole Palmer and people like that. But I think they can also remove what reality really is. You know, I remember a player saying to me one day, we had a home game, a quarter-final, and I said it's at home, and the player was like, I don't really want to play at home. And I was like, why? And he said, our pitch is crap here. And I was like, that pitch is £1 million. And their understanding of what they have, it just becomes completely diluted. And I think some people can fall by the wayside, and before they fall away and they're out of the game, it's too late. And you can become institutionalised with something that's utopian that people just think's everywhere. So 2 very, very different experiences, but huge learnings from both, and feel very privileged to have both of them.
With all those experiences and opportunities you've had so far, how proud are you to have been given the opportunity here at Swindon Town?
Huge, because for two reasons. It's in my opinion, a very prestigious club. It's got a brilliant history, which is one of the reasons why I'm here. It's got an incredible support and fan base, which you've seen through thick and thin. And I said it, there's only 90, in the top 4 pyramids in English, there's only 92 jobs. And without being disrespectful to myself, you're probably not getting 50 of them, maybe 60 of them, maybe 70 of them. And there's hundreds and hundreds of coaches out there looking, and some brilliant ones and really good ones that don't get opportunities and miss out. And the percentages of a coach who doesn't succeed in his first job of getting another crack at the whip is really, really high. It's a brutal, volatile environment, but it's amazing at the same time. So feel very privileged and lucky to still be here talking about it.
And obviously focusing on our time here at Swindon and looking at more on the pitch stuff, can you describe your game idea and your style of play you'll look to implement with the team here?
Yeah, I think without going around the houses, I think again what you want to achieve. Everybody wants to be a possession-based, high-pressing team, which would be the ultimate aim. Your DNA and your brand is more important than all of that. I want to create a brand for Swindon fans that they can be proud of and can identify with. I'm a very, very detailed and structured coach, very principled. But ultimately, you build your philosophy around the players you have. But what we will try to build is a team that has the ability to play an attacking, exciting brand of football that enables us to have success. But one thing I can guarantee is a real structure and detail and an understanding that players have of what football looks like out of possession. Because out of possession, you look at the best teams in the world, everybody talks about goals they score and how good they are going forward. They're also the best defensively and tactically.
How would you describe your leadership and management / coaching style?
Very open, very honest. I like autonomy with coaches and people. I think people should be allowed to express themselves. I love opinion, I love challenge. The one thing that's really important to me, I'm here to be a head coach and a football manager, first and foremost, but I take a lot of pride in helping people become better people, and I think that's really important. I think the human side of things is huge in any walk of life. You know, I look at the news on telly, it should be called bad news, it's just so negative. So I think leadership comes naturally. Really funny actually, I interviewed for Lincoln in my second interview and we talked about leadership, and I had a really good interview and I felt it went really well, but I walked away thinking I've not answered a question on leadership. And when I look back on it now and I speak to the people that are close to me and going back to those questions, I think leadership, when it's naturally, it comes natural, where other people have to use building blocks and certain structures and formats. So I think my style of leadership is positive reinforcement, but I think everything I do is more natural of my personality than anything, and I think some people are just naturally like that and some people have to work that. Maybe can be a strength, can be a weakness.
We've spoken about obviously how you'll be looking to play next season, so how important is it that we try and bring exciting but also successful style of football back here at the county ground that fans can really get behind and support?
Vital. I think a winning formula is key. Football's a funny game. When people are winning, I've been at clubs where clubs are winning games of football and it's not exciting, and people are saying, well, it's not really exciting and that, and then you play a brilliant brand of football and everybody's like, this is great, but then you're not winning games. It's like, well, we wish it was like the old. I think the most important thing is building a DNA and an identity and brand that the fans can connect with. I would hope that the football will be very good, it will be pleasing on the eye, but it'll be really detailed and structured and have a clinical DNA of what planning looks like as well. But nothing starts without hard work.
Obviously today's your first day, and like we said, it's been a bit of a roller coaster in terms of getting to know different people, different names spoken off record. I'm trying to remember all these names. So what's that been like for you, and how important is that people aspect of all the staff here at Swindon Town Football, and also the fans as well?
Vital. It's been incredibly warm, engaging, positive. supportive, and I use all them words. I don't want to just throw buzzwords out there, but that's what it's been like. What's been really pleasing for me is that whatever's happened in the past, and I don't want to dwell on it or dismiss it, but there's a real passion and warmth for everybody to be successful at Swindon. Maybe fans, I've met staff from Jamie to Clem, people like yourself. I've met fans in the store, through the media. Everybody's desperate for one thing, and that's for Swindon to be successful, and that's the most important thing, as opposed to disconnect or fractures or clicks. We need everybody together to be swimming in the same direction, and if we do that, I think we've got a fabulous chance of being successful.
Looking at the squad you've got and you've currently inherited, how excited are you to work with the current squad of players?
Very much so. There's multiple things I like. I think the talent we've got available to us at the minute, because a lot of players have left, is really, really exciting. I think we've got a really, really good technical level of ability. That's a brilliant starting block and a foundation to start with. What I'm most excited about is that we've actually got a large opportunity to add to that. Some clubs you go into, you can inherit 25 players that just needs a mass clear out and change. It's impossible to do that over a short period, but with what's happened in the summer, there's a real opportunity to build early with some great foundations, and that's something that really attracted me to the role as well. With the nucleus of players we've got, with the ability to add to what we've got, I think it's exciting. I think it's almost, I know I'm new to it, but it feels like a fresh start, if that makes sense.
I suppose there's two questions to that. Obviously, with the current group of players we've got, how do you believe you'll get the best potential out of those players? And also, when looking at recruitment, what will you look for in a player to bring into the group to hopefully deliver success?
The latter part of your question is easy. It's good people. You know, you could be the best player in the world. If you're an idiot, you won't come and play for me, because people like that, they're energy sappers, and they ruin things quickly. So the latter part of your question is easy. It's really, really good people with good values. Obviously, I remember somebody saying to me once, you know, I trust my mum with my life, but I'd never sign her, give her a game of football. And I understand that. So without being facetious, they have to be good at football. And I think ideally, without giving too much away to the early part of your question, I have a clear idea of what the shape looks like, what the formation looks like. But I can't answer your question till you can put the jigsaw pieces in the puzzle, because we've got a jigsaw in our heads that we want to build and make, and what the picture looks like. The reality might be completely different, because A might not be available, B might want to go somewhere else, C might have a 3-year contract, 4 might want to live in this area. So until we know who our targets are, a recruitment list is very, very good, but it's only very good if you've got end product at the end of it. So until we can start putting our jigsaw pieces together, I don't want to say too much, but what I can say is I'm very clear in my head what it looks like. Whereas sometimes I think people goes into a job and their hands are tied by what they've already got, or what they want to achieve is not achievable. I think what we want to do is very realistic.
You say we there a few times. Obviously, that includes you working with the head of football, Jamie Russell. What's that relationship been like so far? How optimistic are you, and how confident are you can deliver success next season with him?
The reason I pause is because Swindon's a huge attraction as a football club. It's a huge club. I keep talking, it's got an incredible fan base. You can see that by the people that come in the numbers. You can see it particularly by the people that go away from home, which is really stand out. But the biggest thing that caught my eye was the potential from our relationship with Jamie. His values, his qualities, his integrity, his passion for the club is phenomenal. And that really caught my attention. And as I said, we really connected really well in that first meeting. And I need to have, from my own learnings, I need to have a strong relationship with a director of football or a head of football who I believe in and who I can trust. If I don't have that, everybody's in trouble, everybody loses. So my relationship with Jamie was the key factor in me coming here, and somebody I believed in. But again, I have to stress and emphasise, without Swindon, its fans, its history and its potential, I also wouldn't be here. So it's a dual combination, but obviously I have to look at the guy that I'm going to work with the closest and the most. And I really feel with Jamie, I think the club have got a really bright head of football in charge. And I said to him as well, it's very exciting for me to see where he'll be in 5 years. So hopefully I can help him on that journey with Swindon.
Obviously we've touched on Jamie, but looking at the remainder of your football staff and the guys that will work closely with you, obviously we're waiting to see some of the announcements, but what can you tell us so far, and what will be the sort of people you look to recruit there?
Yeah, so a couple of things. I think it's really important that club have their internal staff, because unfortunately, football being football, hopefully for good reasons, managers come and go all the time. You can't keep bringing a whole new core staff of people in. You have to have club appointments, they have to be Swindon appointments, they have to be Swindon staff. That's really important. And that's something that was really important to me, that I came here, that I wanted to come and work with the core nucleus of staff that they've already got, and going through them individually with Jamie. That was really important. I think Gavin's a big part of that going forward. I think what he's done for the club, particularly when he came in terms of his role before he took over as interim manager, is really important. I think he should be really commended on that, and his work ethic, his time, his skill set. And I'm quite passionate about him being part of that going forward, as with the club. So it's good that we were aligned with that. Really grateful to the club that when my number 2 comes in, it'll be somebody that I've picked, as opposed to somebody you may inherit or somebody that the club may want. So it's really important that that message is put out to the fans and people out there that I am allowed to bring in my own number 2. I'm really excited who can come in and who will come in. And it's somebody who's very similar to myself, with a similar background in terms of coach development, has worked in academies, but experienced at first team level as well. And somebody that I think can add huge value to the club. So I think in the next 7 to 10 days, when we complete our team, I think we'll have a very exciting staff.
I know we said we don't want to dwell on the past, but of course it is important to reflect on last season and see where we can improve. So what's your overall assessment of last season from afar, and how do you look to implement confident changes going into next year?
Yeah, so my honest answer is that I can't really comment on that. I was working at my own club, doing my own thing in a different league, focusing on completely different things. When I came out of football, I was out of football for 7 months. And I can't explain to you how exhausting it is. It's a very privileged position to be in, but it's exhausting, and I really needed that time to recharge and reconnect with my family. I've got 3 young kids who are so important to everything I did. So I kept heavily involved in football, but I was invested in my own things, whilst having an outside view on the pyramids of football. And it's impossible to keep a track on everybody. Spoke to multiple clubs, brilliant meetings with people, met some really good people, but it'd be wrong of me and disingenuous of me to sit here and tell you everything about Swindon Town last season, and without dismissing it. I'm just a big believer in looking forward, and what's in the past is past. The most important thing now is that we reconnect with the fans, really show them how invested we are in them, and that we're as passionate about Swindon as they are, because football's the fans' lives. It can make or break your week, it can ruin your weekend. It's the difference between you having a good day and a bad day. It's the difference between a husband and wife going home and potentially being snappy with each other, or being frustrated with the kids or whatever. And as a head coach, it's so important for me and staff to understand. I've been around football a long time, so I know what it means to fans. I was a fan myself. I became a player, I became a coach. I'm still a huge fan. So it's so important that we reconnect, dot the I's, cross the T's, and make the fans believe in everybody at Swindon again. That, trust me, we're all desperate for Swindon to have success. And from Clem to Jamie, Alan, the board, and the rest of the guys, myself, my number 2, the staff, the players, we will only work with people that are passionate about success for Swindon.
And let's explore that a bit more, because of course, like you say, the fans play such a big part in the success of a football club, and of course, they want to see success, I'm sure, as much as you do. So how important is that engagement, working with them and really delivering something successful next year?
I can't think of a word that emphasises how important that is. It's just huge. It's just so important that we're all connected, and I would like to think that myself as a coach and the people that are working with me and above me, and Jamie and the club secretary, you know, we're very accessible people. We're here to help, we're here to reunite. It's so important, you know, the community, you know, ultimately it's one huge community, and it's so important that everybody feels a value and a warmth and a love and a connection. And you know, I spoke with some fans today, and Jamie was chatting to them, and there are failings at the club which I don't see a group of people that deny everything and pretend everything's perfect when it wasn't. I see a real transparency and honesty to open up and put hands up and say, do you know what, I've got that wrong. And the club, when I spoke to the club, what I really liked about them, and I don't know whether that's been reinforced with the fans, but there was a real honesty about what we haven't done well. So rather than come in and go, we do this, we do that, we're going to smash this, we're going to promise you A, B and C, a lot of our conversation was around what we did wrong or what's happened in the past, what we can do to make it better. And a large part of that conversation was to be really positive without talking about Lincoln were brilliant at that. There's an incredible connection of Lincoln with their fans, supporters and players and board and you know, the chief executive, Clive as the owner. There's a huge emphasis on what they do. So we talked about a lot about what we can do to help that and how we can build those bridges and reconnect. I think honesty and transparency is an easy fix, and communication's a big thing. And then it's about us as a head coach and a player being accessible, getting out, connecting with the fans, whether it's social events, inviting people down to the training ground, watching us train, fans forums, podcasts, getting out into the community, making sure that our players, there's so many things we can do to help with local communities, businesses, schools, brands, to make sure that we're available to help out as much as we can, as long as it doesn't distract from your core job, which is winning games of football. I think there's a lot we can do as a football club to reconnect those things.
Obviously those are going to be your two main goals, so if we just talk on targets and everything like that with you, so what are going to be your targets both for the team personally and everything like that involving Swindon during your time here?
I think first and foremost is a brand and an identity that fans can be proud of, and having a clear DNA of what a Swindon Town team looks like. Ultimately successes to get promoted. As I said before, I haven't, and life's not perfect, life's not utopian, but I haven't come here to be sitting in the bottom half of the league. I haven't come here to finish 12th and say that was a successful season, because last year we finished, you know, just above the relegation zone. Success to me is promotion ultimately. Whether that will happen in the first year, I'm not saying it's going to take 10 years or anything like that, but the goal from everybody, from Clem to Jamie, from myself to them, was to try and get promotion, and that's what we're going to set out to do.
You've obviously been at the ground before as a player, we've touched on it upstairs and around the ground, so what are your memories of being here, and how much are you looking forward to creating new memories as the head coach here as well?
Brilliant atmosphere, very vociferous, very passionate. I always enjoyed coming here. It was always a lovely brand of football. Swindon teams I played against were exciting, good teams. I was fortunate to come here with good teams, so had a lot of good memories, won plenty of games and lost plenty of games. But it was an attractive ground to come to for an away day. There's certain games, certain places you don't want to go. But I always enjoyed coming here as a player, and really, really excited to be coming back and being able to lead the team as a head coach.
And we've touched on it plenty of times, Mark, but how much are you looking forward to immersing yourself in the town of Swindon, the foot club, the culture, the people and everything that involves the community here?
Really important. Big part of that is me living here and being part of the community in the town. You know, my family we live in South Manchester, which is feels like the other part of the world. But the first thing I'm going to do is relocate, come here, live here, spend 90% of my week here. It's so important that for me to try and be successful, I invest my time in the town and the community here. So looking forward to meeting fans. I'm a very accessible guy. I'm always about. I'll spend a lot of the time in the town. You'll see me walking around a lot, daydreaming. So I'm looking forward to getting out there, meeting fans, meeting people, and hearing their stories and sharing stories. But really, really looking forward to it.
And just finally, what's your message to the Swindon fans who've been very eagerly awaiting your arrival through the door?
Yeah, just to continue the magnificent support that they've given over the years. You know, I can remember when Swindon were playing in the Premier League under Glenn Hoddle, and I remember the support them watching it. I remember the playoffs. I remember coming here as a player just to continue that outstanding support. And I promise you, it won't be through a lack of trying that we'll try and be successful, and I firmly believe we will be, and look forward to meeting you.